Hi, everyone. My name is Julia,
And I'm Katie.
and we're the hosts of the Runways and Byways travel podcast. Today, we have a really special episode. We have a special guest for the very first time. We've been talking about this for a long time, and we have finally found someone who wanted to be on our podcast. So, today we have my sister, Allie, and Allie has been to Switzerland. So, today's episode is going to be about Switzerland. So, Allie, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Okay, sure. Hi, everyone. As Julia said, I'm Allie. I'm Julia's sister. So right now I just got a job and I'm an assistant clinical coordinator at an OBGYN private practice. And some of my hobbies include traveling, exercising, and I'm really passionate about women's healthcare and holistic medicine. So I've traveled a lot in my life, even though I'm still young. So I've done a cross country trip from New York to California, which was my favorite trip so far in my life. I've obviously gone to Switzerland, that's why I'm here. And I've done some other traveling to in Europe. I've gone to Italy, France, Spain, etc. So yeah, I'm excited to talk with you two today.
Yeah, neither of us have been to Switzerland, and I've always wanted to go, and I'm sure Katie feels the same way. So I'd love to hear about it and hear your tips and advice before we go and plan anything.
Yes, yeah. Switzerland is definitely a different type of trip than your normal European trip. Like for me, Switzerland kind of fits in this other sort of category it's just like so different than every other country. Like Italy and France, like you and Spain, you can kind of like plan to do similar things, but Switzerland is definitely a special one.
That's great. So I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, it's weird because we've like lived together, and just when you come home from your trip, we just don't talk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I always like show my mom and my dad the photos and then I don't know where you are ever.
Yeah, we just like ignore each other.
Yeah. Kind of the dynamic in the house.
Yes, this is going to be my first time hearing about it, strangely enough. And so we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But right now, Katie, I think is your week for the trivia question.
Yes. So this week, it's my turn, like Julia said, and I'm actually going to ask both girls, both Julie and Allie, the trivia question. And later on, they're going to privately chat me their answers. So very different this week.
Yep.
Okay.
So in the theme of Switzerland, I know this is a little bit basic, but I want to see who knows their basic Switzerland knowledge.
Oh, well, she's obviously going to get this. Wow.
So the question is super simple, but the question is, what is the capital of Switzerland?
Okay. Can I chat it now or do I chat
Allie.
it later?
No, you chat it later. So mean. It's like like she's been here before. No, Allie, we do it at the end.
Okay. You have all episode to think about it if it's in the back of your head.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So we ready to
get to it? I am so ready. Yes, because I have not been to Europe in so long, and especially I've never heard about a European trip from somebody recently. I mean, besides Julia going to Spain, but like Allie said, I agree that I do think that, like France, Spain, that is very different from a Switzerland trip. That's really unique. So, Allie, I have a question. What made you want to even go to Switzerland?
So prior to meeting my boyfriend, I really hadn't thought about Switzerland. I was just kind of like, okay, it exists, whatever. I always saw beautiful pictures from it, but I was never really like, oh my gosh, that's my dream trip. But then I met my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's mother was actually born in Austria. And she moved to Switzerland. And then she moved to America when she was 18. And so my boyfriend's grandparents actually still live in Switzerland. So my boyfriend actually spent his summers as a child growing up in Switzerland. He would be there all summer almost. And it was just a huge part of his life. So when I met him, he wanted to go back. I mean, he missed his grandparents. He hadn't been there in a while. So we decided to go. My first time in Switzerland, oh my gosh, I think it was 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. That was my first trip there. And then, the pandemic hit and we couldn't really go. So then just this past summer was our first time back in a while. And so that's the main reason that we went, and that's why we want to go. And then after my first time in Switzerland, I fell in love with the country. Like, if I could live there, I would. So I just, when my boyfriend said, like, let's go back to Switzerland for a vacation to see his grandparents, I was just like, yes, like, you don't have to ask me once. I'll just be there.
That's great. Yeah, I would love to go with you guys one day. I
Me
don't
too.
know. Yeah. Just bring everybody.
Double date.
Yeah.
Nick's grandparents'
Just
house.
Get a private jet.
Yeah. Totally crashing your trip. But since we know you'll probably be going back,
Yes.
we'll be going with you next time.
God.
So what was the planning process like for you? Because I know you said that his grandparents live there. You wanted to visit his grandparents. So I'm assuming that you stayed with them. But what was the planning like? How did you structure this trip when you sat down and you said, okay, we're going to go to Switzerland? How did you go about planning it?
So we sat down, we bought the tickets there and back, and that's the only thing that we did, actually. So his grandmother is a woman that is very on top of everything. She's just like very type A. So she planned everything down to like the minute. So she planned everything for us both times, the first time and the second time. And she's a wonderful woman, but she just had us like on a military schedule.
Wow.
She had everything planned for us, and she was just a wonderful host. And I didn't know anything about Switzerland, so she really gave us that inside view of what it's like to live in Switzerland. So I kind of got that vibe because she lives in a suburban area, just not near the city. It's just like your normal town. So I really got a taste for what is life like in Switzerland, like what do people do on a daily basis and things like that. So
where does she live? Does she live outside of the capital city, which name I will not mention for
yes, I will not mention the name of the capital city, but I will mention locations of where she's near. So there's Zurich. She's about 2 hours out of Zurich. She lives near the Zurich Sea, which is the sort of very large body of water that is near Zurich. And she lives right near there. And she has her house that overlooks the Zurich Sea. And it's so beautiful at night. You could see all the lights, and it's like a paradise.
Would you recommend people visit that area, or should they stick to the cities? Do you think her area is worth visiting?
So it's a very suburban town that she lives in. So I don't even know where you would stay, like even if there's an Airbnb or anything. But if you can find one, I would say like, yeah, why not? Because I feel like anywhere that you are in Switzerland, there's just so much around you. Like there's other places that you can stay. What I like about staying at her house is that there's no tourists. Like I'm the only tourist. And the only thing that's difficult about staying in a more suburban area is that a lot of them don't speak a lot of English. They're taught English in school. But they don't have most of them don't have like a really strong English unless they're working in a restaurant or whatever. So that was something that was a little frustrating for me, is that, I would walk into a store and I couldn't communicate with them. They couldn't communicate with me. And that's the only thing that was difficult, but I never walked into a store alone. I always had my boyfriend, and he's fluent in German, and his grandmother, who's also obviously fluent. So
He is? Huh, you learn
yes.
something new every day.
Yeah, he's
I've known him for like 6 years now. I had no idea.
He went to German school his entire life. Yeah.
Wow. Huh, the more you know.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Allie, what exactly did you do there? Because when I think of Switzerland, I imagine snow. But when you said Zurich, I started Googling the pictures and I don't really see any snow. So I actually have no idea what there actually is to do in Switzerland.
So honestly, so I'll talk about this past trip that I went on. So I went in the summer. So there's no there's no snow in the summer, obviously, because it's the summer. But the weather is similar to how it is in New York in the summer. It's just I went in August. So the weather was kind of starting to cool down because they get snow in November there, or sometimes even at the end of October. Their snow starts early. And a lot of people, when they think of Switzerland, they're just like, oh, snow, skiing. It's Swiss Alps, fun fact, a Swiss Alp, there's no such thing as the Swiss Alps. It's just an Alp is just a mountain. So any mountain in Switzerland is a Swiss Alp.
Had no idea.
So that's not the name of the range?
No, it's just any mountain in Switzerland.
Oh, I feel stupid.
Yeah, that's what I felt. And because Alp is short for the German word for mountain.
So Alps is just multiple mountains. It's the plural of the word Alp.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
So, yeah, which was pretty interesting. But actually, I did go somewhere where there was snow. The first day that we arrived, we took a trip to a place called Grindelwald. And
is it that Harry Potter?
I was about to say Grindelwald.
Yeah, the evil guy.
Stop, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah, right. I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Grindelwald. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably what J.K. Rowling got it from, is that name.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because it's this sort of, it's a more touristy location. It's this like mountain town, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. On the drive up there, you just drive past these like it's like the bluest water that I've ever seen in my life. And once you get there, it's up in the mountains, so it's a little bit colder. But it's still warm enough to just have a tank top on or whatever. But you'll see a lot of people there walking around and like hiking like where like it's a very, one thing about Switzerland is just such an active country. Like everyone there is in active wear, or they're involved in, I mean, the most popular thing I would say that I always see people and that I've done is hiking, but I'll get back to hiking, but you don't see a lot of people wearing like, oh, really nice clothes in Grindelwald. It's more of just like Grindelwald. Grindelwald.
I looked it up. It's Grindelwald, like
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. There's a lot of, I'm not good with German, so there's a lot of words that I'm just not good with. But anyways, yeah, it's a very mountainous region, and there's a ton of shopping on the main strip. Like there's a lot of like hiking stores where you buy hiking wear, and there's a lot of like little souvenirs or stuff or whatever. So it's more touristy, this area, but it's still a great time. I stayed in a really nice hotel, and the view from my balcony was like insane. Like I felt like I was in a movie or like looking at a picture. So basically, there's these huge mountains right in front of my view out of the balcony, and in the middle there's this mountain with a glacier actually running down it. So that was pretty cool because I saw snow in August and I was like, what is that doing here? So it was kind of cool seeing that and being able to experience that. So yeah, the first day, the next day, what we did was
Wait, can I stop you there before you go to the next
Yeah.
day? So where is this in Switzerland? Is it near Zurich or is it near where she lives? Because you said you stayed in a hotel. So where geographically?
So it was 4 hours, I think, out of Zurich. So I'll be honest with you, I slept like 90% of the car ride because I was so jet lagged. So I don't even know what direction we went in. So I just kind of like wound up there and woke up and I was like, oh, cool, we're here. So I honestly don't know what area of Switzerland like this is in. I can maybe pull up a map. Here we go.
Someone didn't come prepared.
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm sorry. It's
You're embarrassing us.
it's south of Zurich.
Okay.
It's southwest of Zurich.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I don't know much about Switzerland geography, but like I have a general idea. So it's more towards Italy-ish.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it's about 3 to 4 hours south of Zurich, southwest of Zurich. So it was a long ride and I was so jet lagged that I just slept. So but the next day I woke up feeling refreshed and the sun was out, so I was like, cool. And it was just the temperature like the next day was so hot. I just remember I thought it was going to be cold because we're in the mountains and all of that, but it was so hot. So we actually decided to hike up to that snowy mountain that I saw from my balcony. Because we were like, we didn't have anything to do. So that day, his grandmother just said, do whatever you want. So we decided to go on a hike. So in Switzerland, this is kind of unique because I've never seen this other than Switzerland. Well, you've seen gondolas, or people call them
Like at a ski resort?
yes, sort of like that, but it's gondolas and you take them up to like a certain level. They take you up an elevation so that you can start your hike at the hiking trail at a higher
wow.
elevation.
So you cheated.
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't.
That's what I'm hearing.
No, that's where the hiking trail started, was up at that elevation.
Okay.
But a lot of times along the trail, but you could technically hike up to that to the gondola. Like you didn't have to take the gondola. Okay, fine. I cheated to the start. Fine.
Well, you had to say.
All right. So, yeah. So you either hike up to the gondola station, or like where the trailhead is, or you take the gondola up, and then you could just start on the trailhead. But what's unique is that a lot of places in Switzerland along the hiking trail, it's just the strangest things. They'll just have like this house. But it's a whole restaurant. And like it's like a full sit down restaurant. Like you just sit there and they serve you like really good food. Like you would expect it to be like not good food, but like up in the mountains was like where I've had some of the best food. So
you could just take a break during your hike and go to a restaurant?
Yes. They will overcharge you because it's in the mountains. And literally when the hiking trail that I'm going to talk about, when we got to the little house, it's kind of like a landmark, like, oh, we made it to the first station. Literally we paid $15 for a water bottle.
Oh my God.
But we were desperate. And it's because they have to like helicopter the food and water there. They have to get a helicopter to bring the food and water there. It's like, so that's why it's so expensive.
Okay, yeah. So you wouldn't totally recommend eating there, I would imagine?
No, unless you're like starving and dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like in the middle of a hike, you'd want like some protein too,
Exactly. Yeah. And I had, when I got to that first gondola station and that hiking station and I got there, I had like the best soup and salad of my life. I was like, this is so good.
Worth the money or no?
Worth the money.
Really?
The money.
Okay.
It was so good. But once, and then I started the hike. The hike was actually only a mile or so long, but I was so out of breath just because it was going uphill the entire time. Like usually when you're going on a hike, you have some times where you're not gaining elevation, you're just relaxing. No, like this time, like it was just up the entire time. And then, the fact that you're gaining elevation makes breathing harder. So I was just exhausted. But a lot of times while you're hiking in Switzerland, you have to, sorry, I just thought of something that I'll get to in a second, but a lot of times you'll pass animals. So one of the most common animals that you're going to pass is a cow. There's a ton of cows, and in the summer they're in the mountains.
Do cows climb mountains?
No, well, actually, yeah, kind of in a way. The farmer walks all of them up in like a herd of cows in the summer.
Why do they need them up there?
I think that it's a little bit cooler for them, but then or just to like graze in that area and to like, do their cow thing, whatever cows do. And then they bring them down at the end of the summer. It's like this huge festival that they have in a lot of towns, is they bring the cows down from the mountain and they put these cute little things on the cows' heads. And it's like,
oh, that's so cute.
A celebration. And they walk the cows through the town. It's really nice. So like, yeah, you'll see a lot of cows. You might see some sheep or goats. You can like, the thing that's cool about Switzerland is if there's not a gate there, like you can literally just walk up to the cow and pet them. Like
it's not trespassing?
No.
Huh.
Like you could just walk up to the cow and just like chill with them if you wanted to. I mean,
it sounds like you did this.
Yes. I mean, I didn't chill with them, but I pet them. I don't know if you've ever had a cow lick your hand, but their tongue.
Can't say that I have.
Their tongue feels like sandpaper, kind of like a cat's.
Really? Oh, I would have never expected that.
Oh my gosh, it's so weird. And and then you hear things about, you hear things about cowbells, but you like never see in America, you never see a cow wearing a cowbell. In Switzerland, it's everywhere. So if you hear bells while you're hiking, that means cows are nearby, because that's how the farmers find them. God forbid one gets lost or whatever. That's how the farmers find them, is that cowbell.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we took that hike up and we were really close to the glacier. And that was really cool. It was kind of similar to Alaska, how we saw the glaciers and everything. So, that was really nice. And then, we made our hike down, which is always a lot. The hike down is always easier because it's just not as hard on the cardio. So, we made it back down and we, had dinner at the hotel, and that was really nice. And, the next day was my favorite day of the trip. We went to, his grandmother planned this for us. We went to, it's called Jungfraujoch. And it is the highest accessible point in Europe. So basically it's like 3 trains and it's just like craziness. But once you get up there, it is so cold.
So you don't hike it? You have to take the train up?
Yeah, you don't hike it. I don't know how else you would get there, quite honestly.
Okay.
But I think it was like 1 degree Celsius or 0.9 degrees Celsius, which I don't know.
Count me out.
Yeah, you would die.
Wow, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It's crazy.
How do you spell that? I kind of want to look at a picture.
Jung.
Jung.
Frau.
Okay.
Joch.
What OCH?
Jo.
JO.
Yeah, it's a funny spelling, but with the pronunciation, it's Jungfraujoch, and it's kind of cool. It's like they have this whole compound up there, and they even have like a lint factory, so you could get chocolate.
Oh, I thought you meant lint like dust. I was like, why do they make that? Lint chocolate. That makes more sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, ew.
Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you?
I'm not all there today. Just keep going.
They have like restaurants up there, and basically you're on a glacier and you can see these beautiful snowy mountains and a plateau of snow. It's gorgeous. But you can't just like walk out into the snow because you could just like fall into the ground apparently.
Ooh.
Because there's like these breaks in the ice that are covered in snow, but they have the path labeled off where you can walk. So I had lunch there. I'm not gonna say it's the most stellar lunch that I've ever had. Definitely not, but it was kind of just like warm, comforting food. It was like chicken nuggets and fries. I was just like, yeah,
Oh,
this
Julia
is
would
good.
love that.
Yeah.
That would be
Yes.
splendid for her.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Katie, don't act like you wouldn't. You need your protein all the time.
I do need the protein. For me,
it's all
yeah, it's
you
about
think
the
about.
protein.
Stop. So they have something, it's called in the little compound, it's called the Sphinx, that you go up and you're going to 11,760 feet of elevation. So that's the point where you can go around and see everything. Like you can see all the snowy mountains, and it was just so cool. But I'm telling you, as soon as I got to the top, I felt it, like I was dizzy. And I started feeling the effects of low oxygen. You really feel it there. Some people don't feel it at all, but me and my boyfriend that day, we felt it hard. Like that hit us hard. Excuse me. And then there's this whole area where they have all these like fun things that you can do. For example, they have tubing in that area.
I've always wanted to do that. I've never done that.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
You've never done tubing?
I don't think so. It's snow tubing, right?
Yeah.
No, I've never been.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we didn't do it there because it was mostly like for the kids. But we decided they had a zip line on the glacier. So me and my boyfriend decided to zip line on the glacier, which was really cool and unique. Like I've never done anything like that before because
I feel like that doesn't sound safe.
No, it's totally safe. I saw other people do it, so I mean, I guess it's safe.
Because like, what if that ice melts?
It's a glacier, so
yeah, global warming.
Yeah, but it stays cold for a long time.
I don't know. I'd have to see it, I guess.
But yeah, you'd have to see it. But and then basically there was this long trail it was like a hiking trail to another one of those stations that is a restaurant. So this trail was maybe a mile, but we had to stop like every minute or so because our oxygen, well, at least my oxygen was at 70%.
Did you bring like an oxygen meter? Like, how did you know?
My watch can tell the oxygen.
Really? Oh,
yeah, my blood oxygen.
Does that mean mine can too?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
Like the newer versions of the Apple Watches.
Oh, I didn't know you had a
tell your blood.
Anyways.
Yeah, it can tell your blood oxygen. So I was like tracking that because I was so out of breath, and we were actually just like, we were sweating. So you're on a glacier, which is like extremely cold, and we were ripping off the layers. And by the time I got to that station, which is the restaurant, I was wearing a tank top. So you would think that you'd be freezing. I even showed my boyfriend's mom the picture, and she's like, "What? Like, why are you in a tank top?" I'm like, "You don't understand. It was so hot."
You probably looked crazy.
Yeah, no, because you just see this snowy background, and they're like, "What are they doing?"
I would like to see that.
Yeah, you have to send us pictures.
Yeah, I'll send you a photo. Yeah, and then they have something called the plateau where you go and hold the Swiss flag, and you can take a picture, and it says like Young Fraujac on the flag, so it's pretty cool. And for the gram, it's pretty good.
I think I've seen that picture. Wait, were you wearing a tank top in that picture?
No, I posted this picture though.
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like I'd remember if you were wearing a tank top.
Yeah, and they have this cool thing. It's similar to that thing, Julie, that we did in the ice castle thing that we did in
Ice Castle
in Tennessee.
At the Gaylord, which I just wrote an article about. If you're interested in reading it, I just posted it a few days ago. I think yesterday actually. And it's about Christmas in the Gaylord Opryland Resort in Nashville. So if you want to learn more about that, go to my blog. But anyways, yes, there was an ice slide at that resort, it was part of the ice exhibit that they had, the ice sculptures, and at the end of it there was a slide that was made out of ice and you could slide down it. So Allie, there was something similar to that.
Yes,
there?
yeah, very
Okay.
similar. It was like they called it like the ice castle, and they had all these sculptures and cool things, and it was just really neat. It wasn't, I have to say though, the one in Nashville is like 10 times cooler. So
Really?
but,
Because
yeah,
I feel
but-
like that one wasn't, I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't like anything to write home about.
yeah,
look
but
this up
I
too.
mean, yeah, I mean, this one was cool, but but what
Also
was
not anything to
funny-
write home about, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they had one funny thing. They had a stuffed animal of Scrat from Ice Age, frozen in a block of ice with with his acorn.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
that's
like
funny.
so funny.
Is
So
that
I
what you were
just-
chuckling to yourself about before? You
no,
said
I
you
forgot.
remembered something and then
Oh,
yeah.
Did I never
Chuckling to
say
yourself.
it?
No, you never said, I mean, maybe you did say it. I
don't know. I guess I never said
You,
it, but
you
I
were like,
guess I-
oh, we'll get to that later. And then you just,
I don't remember. I guess it'll just stay in my head. I don't know.
oh, well, our listener is going to be pretty upset. at
Yeah,
the
I'm
end
sorry, guys.
when you just never tell your story that you were chuckling to yourself about.
Yeah, I don't know what I was laughing to myself about. So then anyways, that was a really cool thing. It like took the whole day, but because you can literally spend like all day there. It was so much fun. But anyways,
So where was that? Is that near Zurich?
oh my gosh, I don't answer
Allie.
questions about location.
Okay, if you're interested, look it up. Next,
yeah.
moving on.
The next day we went, it was our last day in Grindelwald. And we went to this sort of glacier museum, they call it, where you kind of learn about the glacier. And we saw where the glacier was and how much it receded. Like the glacier is receding back. So we saw where the glacier started and now where it is currently, but it's cool. You see this whole glacial river running under it. And if you've ever seen glacier water, that's running, it's a gray color. Actually, it's kind of not the most appealing to see, but once it settles, you see it, it's like a very nice blue color once you see it in like a lake or whatever.
Like in Alaska, it was very blue because it wasn't moving. Is that
Yeah,
what you're talking about?
And I read something. So I read something. It said the typical gray and white color of the glacial water. They call it glacial milk, which I hate.
Ew.
Ugh, I know. I don't like it.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of like it.
Get out.
It says it's created by pulverized rock, and the rock flour accumulates in stagnant waters and reflects the sunlight in a deep, rich turquoise color. So that's what you see is when it's that rock flour accumulates, and it becomes stagnant. It just creates that nice blue color that you see in the glacier water. So that's pretty neat.
That's interesting. Thank you for doing your research.
Of course. That day we actually drove back to Nick's grandmother's house, which is 2 hours out of Zurich. And we just had dinner, and her house it's just beautiful. Everyone's back like yards are just beautiful. It's just so nice. And I think that night we actually went to, it's called the Lindt Canal, like the chocolate Lindt, but it's not a chocolate river. So don't go there expecting a chocolate river. It's just this running river in between, I think it's in between two mountains. And it's glacier water. So it's really cold, but once you just jump in, oh my gosh, it's so fun because the water moves so fast. You don't have to swim. It just brings you along. And then they have stations where you get out and then you run back to the start and you get in again. It's just, it's really fun.
So
yeah.
Huh, you said that at the same time.
Yeah.
Look at that. Jinx, you owe me a soda. I
Oh,
forgot my
please.
question because you distracted me. Oh, so Is this like, was that the whole trip or is there more?
No, there's more.
You've been there forever. Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
how
Yeah,
long
I
was
went.
this trip, Allie?
I went for 10 days.
10
Wow.
days. So we're on day like 4 or 5 now.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's day 4.
The next day, so I always saw pictures online of Lucerne. I've always wanted to go to Lucerne. I was like, I just always fell in love with like Lucerne. So the next day we actually took a train out to Lucerne. It took about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And when it started, there was like super cloudy, and Lucerne has these beautiful bridges that cross like this river. I don't really, they're like really old bridges, but it's beautiful. And then the sun came out and it was just so nice. Lucerne, it really gave me strong, like very strong European vibes, just like the sort of European towns that you see with like the nice architecture and like old paintings and stuff like that, just like that real culture. So if you're really looking for that, like that strong culture, you have to go to like Lucerne, because they have like these beautiful like churches and stuff like that. It's very like quote unquote European, like how you would imagine a European trip. So
Yeah, I'm Googling it. It looks like so beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
it looks gorgeous.
If you could
yeah,
put it on my phone.
it was so much fun. And we actually ate on a boat. It's this like restaurant it was a boat that was like docked. And okay, I found like my new obsession dish. I have the name. Hold on one second, because it's a German name. Okay, it's called oh my gosh. Alpler Macaronen.
Okay.
It's Swiss Alpine macaroni and cheese. Okay, so
Ooh. Wait, what's
I
it called? Alpern macaronin?
I'll send it to you later, because I literally
Alpern
can't.
macaronin.
I can't bear.
Oh,
for
I see
people
it
to-
online.
Yeah.
Alpine macaroni.
Yeah. So basically, it's macaroni with the cheese, and they put these like onions that are like breaded onions, like those are crispy onions. Oh yes, it's like so good. And then they serve it with applesauce on the side, and you're supposed to mix in the applesauce, but I was like not too fond of that, so I just ate the applesauce on the side.
It looks really good.
Oh, it is so good.
It doesn't sound great to me, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, I thoroughly
Yeah, you're
enjoyed
biased
it.
against
Yeah,
cheese.
I am.
Yeah.
So no matter what you say, if it has cheese in it, I'll just be like, ew. But I'm
Gosh,
sure it
please.
sounds appealing to most people.
Yes. Oh, it was so good.
Hey, I'm
10
curious,
out of
macaroni
10.
and cheese and applesauce. Like,
I
I
don't
want
know.
to try it. I don't know.
I don't know. Just like it gave me weird vibes, so I just ate the applesauce separately, but people there like mix it in. But anyways, I then went to another glacier museum, which was pretty cool. Learned about the glaciers, and because Switzerland, all those mountains, it was a very glacial place. So they had a lot of that, and so that was really cool to learn about. And yeah, that was Lucerne. Then we took this in Lucerne we took this hike up to this like it's kind of like a 5-star hotel. Like you have to like hike up to it, but they have like a gondola if you're coming with a luggage or whatever.
I was gonna say, what kind of service is that?
No, they have a gondola, but me and my boyfriend hiked up, and it was really cool. Like you could see all of Lucerne, and it was just really, really neat. So that was that day. And then the next day we did another hiking trip. It's a place called, I'm gonna butcher this, so I'm sorry, but it's called Hochjebrig.
Whoa. How do you spell that?
Hochybrig. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, they have very interesting
Oh, okay.
stuff.
I looked it up. It's HOCH-YBRIG.
Yeah, so that at 10 out of 10, if you like hiking, go to that spot. It's not touristy at all, which was the best part, because a lot of these like trails are very like not super touristy, but you run into a lot of people. This, like, you ran into nobody, but be advised that, like, okay, I feel like in America things like hiking trails, like they'll say like, oh, this is a Black Diamond hiking trail, and it's like very watered down, though. Like, it's not actually a Black Diamond hiking trail. It's just like, it's not that bad. Be advised when you go to Switzerland that, like, when they say it's hard and that it requires like hiking materials, like hiking sticks or like a harness or something, make sure you bring it and don't go down the trail if you don't have it, because I made that mistake. When they say it's like Black Diamond, they mean it's Black Diamond. So but that was actually the coolest part of the trip, was like that it kind of made things a little interesting, like not knowing if you were going to die or not. Like, it was kind of fun.
Wow. Okay.
But you saw these beautiful Swiss Alps all around. They were nice green, and it was just beautiful. Like, I had a really great time on that hiking trip. I'm almost towards the end of the trip, so we're almost there. I think the last day, or the second to last day, I went to it's called Rapperswil. It's sort of this, it's like the more city type of place near Nick's grandmother's house, and it's, you know, they have a college there, they have a bunch of shopping. It was really nice, and then it started raining, so then I had to run like 3 miles in the rain back to the car.
Are you being dramatic, or was it actually like 3 miles?
It was like actually 3 miles.
Wow.
And we were like drenched, but they have this beautiful rose garden there. If you go on a day when it's not downpouring, you just walk into the rose garden, and it smells so good.
So is this a city that people actually go to visit, or is it just happens to be near her town?
I don't know how many people go to actually visit there, like, as like, it's not like it's like Zurich or Geneva or whatever.
Do you think it's worth it for someone like one of our listeners to go out of their way to go to this place, or do you think it's more of just you went there because it was convenient?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's worth a trip. Like, I wouldn't go like 6 hours out of your way for it, but like if it's like an hour out of your way, I would go. I mean, they have a ton of shopping. It's really nice. It's sort of, it gives you that taste of the city sort of vibe without having to leave the city, really. You're kind of in this like sort of, without having to leave like the suburbs, because as soon as you get out of it, you're kind of in the suburban region.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then the next day was the last day. And there was this hike that the first time I went to Switzerland, I was not able to complete this hike because I shortly learned after that I was passing a kidney stone, and that's why I was in so much pain.
Oh no, you had a kidney stone in Switzerland?
So it started to descend while I was in Switzerland, and then 2 days after I got back from Switzerland, I was in the hospital.
Why didn't I know this? Like, I live with you.
Yeah, like I don't know where you were, because I think I left at like 4 a.m.
What?
For the hospital. Yeah, I don't know where you were.
Yeah. But okay, anyways.
Anyways, but this time around, it's a hike called Tanzboden. It's okay from Nick's grandmother's house to the peak where the last station is. There's 2 stations along the hike. So there's one station that's about midway, and then there's another station. To the second station, it's about, it was 6 miles. So it was 6 miles there, 6 miles back. So I was absolutely exhausted, because hiking is like you can't underestimate hiking. It's like really like a sport, and stepping in the right places. And I'll admit I fell quite a few times, because if you don't, you have to be strategic, and sometimes I go too fast. But it was a very long hike, but I saw so many cows. If you go hiking here, if you go hiking in Switzerland in general, like you have to not be afraid to get dirty. Because there's on this particular hiking trail, there was cow poop everywhere. So yeah. So you have to like not be afraid to like get dirty. So like if you by mistake step in it, it's like it's okay. Like you're in nature. Like it sucks. Like and it's not fun, but like you wipe your foot on grass and you move on. But yeah, and my boyfriend growing up, he developed a special ability to communicate with farm animals. So he perfected his cow call. So while we were hiking, he would do his cow call and the cows would start following us. At one point, we had a group of 30 cows following us.
Really?
That's so cool.
Do you have pictures or a video?
I have both. Yeah.
Yes, send those to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can attach any of them into the video of this podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, it's really cool. It was like so cool. And then he was communicating with goats and they just, they bowed back. So that was pretty cool. But that was the last day. And then we went home the next day.
Wow. So it sounds like you had a pretty eventful trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
It definitely makes me more interested in going there because I really never knew too much about Switzerland to begin with. I knew it existed. I knew it was in Europe and I knew there was mountains and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of people's knowledge about Switzerland. A lot of people aren't really familiar with it.
There's just so much more to it. It's such a beautiful country. And I if I could, again, I'm saying this again, but if I could move there, I would.
So I have a question. Have you visited the larger cities in Switzerland?
Other than Lucerne, I mean, we drove through Zurich. I wasn't that much of a fan, even just driving through Zurich. It was just kind of like whatever, but I would really like to visit Geneva one day. I haven't really been to any other big cities just because his grandmother lives in a very suburban area.
Okay, so it's a little difficult to get to them from where she is.
I mean, you could get to them. It's like a 2-hour train ride, but like from what I saw of Zurich, I was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like any city, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like. And it was fun to do stuff other than a city. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what were your favorites and least favorites of this trip? Because you've told us what you've done. And I know you did mention some things that you really liked, but if you had to like almost rank them, what would you say? Like, what did you like the best and what did you not recommend maybe?
The thing I liked the best was definitely Jungfraujoch. That was like so much fun. I would do that 100 times. It was just so cool. And being able to eat next to these giant mountains that are just covered in this fresh snow, it's just beautiful. Least favorite is, I think it was Tonsboden, that hike that I did on the last day, just because I was just in a little pain just from the whole
Another kidney stone?
No, I thought it was a kidney stone. I really thought it was. But I think I was just dehydrated.
Okay.
Well, I think also being dehydrated, doesn't that like affect kidney stones too?
Yes. Yeah. So
imagine every time you go there, you get a kidney stone.
No, it was like so weird. I was like, what's going on? I was in like so much pain. And then it was just a longer hike than I expected. I thought the hike was going to be a few miles, like maybe up to 4, but this was a 12-mile hike and I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
So you would really only recommend that for people that are prepared going into it.
You need to know. I mean, if you start at the actual trailhead, it's only 6 miles total. But if you start where I started, which was his grandmother's house, that added on an extra 3 miles each way.
Okay.
Interesting. So I just didn't enjoy that hike as much as I thought I was going to. And I mean, the views were nice. It was just not spectacular like the other views that I saw. Yeah.
I mean, after coming from the highest accessible points in Europe to just going to like this random hike, I feel like it's not going to measure up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just didn't measure up. And yeah. So that was probably my least favorite. Yeah.
Nice. So to add to that, because I know you mentioned about the hiking and to really pay attention, which is really good advice. Do you have any other advice for a trip to Switzerland?
Definitely. So Switzerland, as I mentioned before, it's like a very active place. So whatever season you're going in, like I have only gone in the summer, but summer is like hiking. That's hiking season. And winter is obviously skiing and snowboarding. So anyone that's going there, number one, if you're going there, make sure you're an active person yourself, like you enjoy activity, because I mean there's other things to do in Switzerland. It's like you have to be active, but like parts of the joys of going to Switzerland is immersing yourself in that active culture. So I would, number one, overpack on activewear, because I always underpack on that sort of activewear, like hiking clothes, tall socks, everything that you need to do a hike. Luckily his grandmother had a washing machine, but you know, I would do that. I would also bring a good amount of money, because it's an expensive country. Things are just expensive there. Like I brought a little bit over 200 Swiss francs. Oh yeah, make sure you get money exchange your money before, get your money in Swiss francs.
So
not
they don't
francs.
they don't use euros?
No, they're not part of the European Union.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So make sure you get your Swiss francs and get a good amount, because things are just expensive there. I would say get ready to eat meat, because I'm a mostly vegetarian person. I eat a little bit of meat, but they're very heavy on sausages, bratwurst, just very, it's a meat rich diet. As I said before, hiking is dirty, and it's not like it is here. Hiking here is like kind of clean, like you don't really get too dirty. Hiking there, you get dirty, and you have to just be prepared for that. I would also learn a little bit of German, or download a German translator, just like the basics, like bathroom. Hello.
Is that Bad Zimmer?
I don't even know.
I think it is. I
I don't follow my own advice. Let's just say that.
Seeing how much German I remember.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like they do speak English, but some people are not the best at it. And one thing about German culture and Swiss culture is when you think of watches and stuff like that, you think of German made or Swiss made, like for example, Rolexes. So they're all about time there. In Switzerland, you must be on time. It is not a choice. If you can't be a minute late for your train isn't going to sit there waiting for you to get on. Your train is there at the time that they say the train is going to be there, that they say on the schedule. There's no delays. Like everything is timed to the second. Like
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, like there's like it kind of takes away like, oh, I have to get there early. Like when you have to be there, and the buses leave when they say they're about to leave. It's very timely. That's how their culture is, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very type A, so I'm sure that
Yes.
you love that.
Yeah. No, like literally, how in airports, you have to sometimes take like a little tram from one place to another.
Mm-hmm.
They count down the seconds to when the tram is going to be there, and they say like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the tram is there and the doors are open, and you get on, count down to when it leaves, and then you go. There's no waiting. So don't be late. Be on time.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
I really do like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned before, you said that it's a very expensive country. And do you think that it's accessible for budget travelers? Who would you recommend this trip for? Would you say if someone was on a budget, would you say Switzerland would be a hard place for them to go? What do you think about that? And who would you recommend this trip for? Who would you not recommend it for?
Okay. I don't think it's for a budget traveler, really. It's an expensive country, and if you want to do fun things, nice things, you're gonna have to spend money for it, unfortunately. Who this trip is for is definitely for active people, people that like to hike, ski, snowboard, people that like to explore, people that really like to like immerse themselves in a different culture and see how other people live. They live much more, in my opinion, this is the vibe that I got, but this is just me. They live much more holistically. They raise their own cattle. Most people, you see a lot of it. I wouldn't say most, but in the area where my boyfriend's grandmother lives, they raise their cattle, and it's more sustainable living. Like they care about their animals. So people that just really want to immerse themselves in this culture that believes more in this sort of holistic lifestyle where they really value family time, I noticed. That's a big thing. So I would recommend it for people like that. People I wouldn't recommend this trip for is people that just like don't care about activity, that just want this like sole European experience. Like you can stay in Lucerne, you can stay in Zurich and Geneva, but like if you want to really get the sense of Switzerland, I feel like you have to go outside of those big cities and see what life is like. And that's what I appreciate about Switzerland, is it's this beautiful mix of suburban sort of everyday life, and then you go into the cities and you can see how life is a little bit different, but it's like this good separation. It's like a really solid separation, whereas like when I traveled to Italy and France, I don't know if it's just because I didn't go to any suburban places in those places, but I just didn't feel that separation between city and suburbia. Yeah, so I don't know how I got to that point, but anyways, I wouldn't recommend it for people that are not active or not willing to explore or just want to like have a lazy vacation. This is not a lazy vacation place. Like this
So
is
if
a
you're,
place. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
oh, I was going to say, so if you're looking for a European city type trip, Switzerland would not be it. Like you should go to like Paris or something that's more city
Yeah.
based, where there's not as much to do outside of it.
Yes, yeah, I would say that, I'm not the expert on Switzerland, but that's the vibe I sort of got. Lucerne was fun. It was a fun day trip, but like I wouldn't want to spend like 3 days there because I saw what I wanted to see in that one day. Like if I had to spend 3 days there, I would get so bored. Whereas in Paris or London, that it's you can spend a few days there and not even see half the city.
I mean, I would say I've been to both places, and I would say that I would spend 3 to 4 days tops in both of those places.
Yeah, and I just didn't get that vibe from Lucerne, being the only city that I've been to in big city. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes sense. It's hard to spend a lot of time in a city sometimes because all cities have very similar things. The architecture might be different, but when it comes down to it, a lot of them offer the same things.
Yes, yeah, and honestly, I would recommend this trip first if you're looking for the best hiking of your life. Go here, like it's the best hiking that I've ever done.
That's good to know. Yeah, I knew there was hiking, but I never really looked too much into it, so that's very interesting. I do think that if you are a budget traveler, no matter how expensive a place is, I do think you can make it work. I don't think this should be your number one choice based on what Allie said.
Yeah.
But I do think if you plan out your money right, I think anything is possible. And like I'm on a budget, and maybe right now is not the right time for me to go to Switzerland, but I'm always on a budget. So I think if I just plan my money right, I could go and anyone can go.
I agree. Like you can definitely go to Switzerland on a budget, but I would recommend saving a little bit more than your normal budget travel would be, because due to the price of things, and especially if you're eating out in restaurants every night because you don't have food or whatever, that's where it's going to get really pricey, unfortunately. So
this should be the type of trip that you really work up to. It shouldn't just be a spur of the moment type thing.
Yes, this is like a splurge type of trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Allie, I actually wanted to ask, I don't know if you know the number off the top of your head, but what exactly would the budget be if you had to give like a range?
That's a good question. See, my budget, I don't think is a good thing to base it on, just because I stayed with his grandmother, which is free
Yeah.
hotel basically, and she fed us, so that's like free food. I mean, the plane tickets are at least like 1,000.
There
Okay,
and
yeah.
back.
Yes,
So round trip from New York, it would be about 1,000.
a little bit more, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you would have
Yeah.
to factor in how long you're going for, so hotel prices. So you're probably spending about 3,000 at the end of the day with hotel and some food mixed in there.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
probably around that much. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is definitely a trip you want to splurge on, just because there's so much that Switzerland has to offer and you don't want to miss out.
Mm. That makes sense. So it seems to me like you really enjoyed this trip, but be honest, like, did the trip meet all of the expectations you had going into it?
I think it met, like, I would say 90% of them. Just because there were some days, I mean, if you stay at a place for 10 days, there's bound to be days where you just kind of like sit around and do nothing.
Mm.
But I didn't expect to really do that. I was kind of hoping that we would be doing something every single day, but I it kind of exceeded my expectations in terms of hiking and the amount of things that I saw that I've could never imagine. Like, I can't even explain in words how beautiful Grindelwald was. That it was breathtaking. I felt like I wasn't like actually living. I was like, is this real? Like, this can't be
Mm.
real. It just looks like someone like painted it. So I think it exceeded my expectations in some sense, but in other senses, I just wish I could have done more on those. Some days it was just like rainy and storming, which was kind of like a letdown because I really wanted to go out and do something.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, I mean, they do have stuff that you can do, when it is raining or whatever. Like, for example, they have this absolutely amazing, it's like a water slide park, or I guess you could call it, it's called Alpamare, where it's all these water slides and a wave pool, and it's all indoors, but it's just like, it was so much fun. So that's something you could do on a rainy day. But we didn't do that this trip, but last trip we did.
Mm.
So to me, it almost sounds like your trip would exceed my expectations, because going into Switzerland, I would just think, okay, there's mountains and there's Zurich. That's kind of all I would think. I wouldn't think that there was all this hiking and cow festivals and all that.
Yeah.
So to me, it would exceed my expectations going there and seeing how much culture and things there really is going on there. And it's not just mountains and Zurich.
Yes, no, 100%. I mean, my first time, it more than exceeded my expectations. And even this second time, it exceeded my expectations. It's this country just takes your breath away. There's sometimes where you're just like, the air smells different. Like, the air smells fresh and clean, and it's a breathtaking place.
Wow. That really does sound amazing. And it does sound like you'll probably be going back.
Yes.
And next time when you do go back, is there anything you would want to do differently?
Yes, definitely. Most of it. Okay, the first thing that I would do differently is invest in a really good pair of hiking boots, or hiking shoes rather, because and I want to get more hiking gear. So I would not go cheap on your hiking shoes, because if you're going here to hike, you need good shoes, because these hiking trails, they're a little rough sometimes, and you don't want your ankles to be hurting and your feet to be hurting and your ankles to be rolling everywhere if you by mistake misstep. Like, the point of the hiking shoes is to help with that ankle support. So I would really invest in a good pair. I would also learn some German, just because it was really difficult. I just felt bad for our next grandparents, because they had to like speak English and translate everything for me. And I just felt bad. Like, I just wanted to be, when you're there, you just want to feel a part of it. So, like, speaking a little bit of German, or just at least learning the basic phrases, helps a lot to be able to just sort of feel a part of stuff. And then I would learn, before you go hiking, I would learn about the types of poisonous plants there.
Oh.
So little story. I was, I was like hiking or whatever, and they have these in Switzerland, they have these teas. It's like Swiss herbs from the Swiss Alps. They take like herbs and stuff from the Alps and they make it into tea. So and they sell that like commercially, but I was just thinking about it while I was hiking, so I just like touched this plant. I was like, whatever. It looked like a green plant. Like it was just like whatever.
Oh no.
No.
I see where this is going.
And then my boyfriend is like, "Did you just touch that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you feel anything?" I was like, "No, I'm okay." And he's like, "Okay, well, good, because like that could have been, it's basically like poison ivy, but it looks completely different. It's like, it looks like just like this normal plant. Like you would never suspect anything out of it. And it basically gives you the same reaction as poison ivy. So when you're hiking, like just be careful. Like I assumed everything was okay, but that was obviously the wrong assumption. Like I turned out fine. Like I didn't get any rash or whatever, but I very well could have, because it was very similar to the plant that is poisonous. So like whenever you're hiking, you need to know what's around you. So you can make sure that you're keeping safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And I'm sure everyone else will appreciate that too. Don't touch the plants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Allie, last question.
Mhm.
So last week, Julie and I did a podcast episode on priorities and how it's really important to know your priorities before you go on a trip. So for example, Julia and I realized like we have very similar priorities, which is having a trip that has a lot of balance, like different activities to do, and also safety. So we like to plan our trip around that. So my question to you is, what are your priorities? And do you think that this trip met all of those priorities that you have?
Okay, so my priorities is that I hate trips that are not active, like, just going to a city and you're not really active. The only thing you're doing is walking. So one of my priorities is like having some sort of activity mixed in there, whether it's like swimming or hiking, skiing, whatever it is, snowboarding. That's a priority for me, is that there's some sort of active component. Another priority is like, I like being in the city like 1 or 2 days out of that trip. I enjoy getting that sort of rush of the city where you're seeing all this culture and you really see the culture just sort of flourish there of how things work. So that's a priority for me. Obviously safety is a priority, and I felt so comfortable in Switzerland just because it's like there's a very communal aspect to life there. Like people just know each other, especially in the town where my boyfriend's grandmother lives. Like she knows the butcher, and she knows, who owns this shop and whatnot. I felt like really safe, and just the statistics of safety in Switzerland is, they're a very safe country. And I just felt the anxiety like lifted off my chest. Like I feel safer in Switzerland than I do in New York, but that's just me.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And I think this trip definitely met my priorities. I got that mix of in with the city that I wanted. I felt super safe. And I was super active. I hiked like 3 times on this trip. And let me tell you, like, I'm glad I didn't hike every single day, because I was so sore after these hiking trips. Like after that 12-mile hike, I literally couldn't walk. I was crying on the way back of that hike. I was like, I can't do this.
Oh.
But I think that's why I feel like Switzerland is just such a good place for me, is because it's everything that I want. It's that activity level, that safety level, and it just made me, I had so much fun. And another priority is the food. Oh, just that mac and cheese thing. I still think about that. So
Yeah, anyone who knows Allie knows she prioritizes food.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my number one priority in my life.
Mhm. She
That's
gets
so funny.
very hangry.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. I have a hanger problem.
She
but,
really does. She should see someone about it. It's bad.
yeah. Like you don't want to be around me, but, one more piece of advice that I want to add before just going back for a minute was make sure you bring just like something to eat on your hiking trip, because I made the mistake. I thought this like Tonsboden hiking trip was going to be like a quick 3-4 miles, like not that bad. Yeah, it took me 6 hours. And I was starving. And even though I could have stopped at the stations and ate, number one, it's expensive. Number two, my boyfriend was like, no, let's keep going. So I was just like, fine, whatever. I just like, I was getting so hangry. So advice is to just like pack like just whatever, like a protein bar or just something to hold you over, because that was rough.
Mm,
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought of that by myself, but that does make sense.
Yeah, make sure
Yeah.
you pack something to eat that, you know, even something like carbohydrate based so that you can sort of burn that energy, but something with a little protein so it holds you over.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allie, I actually have one more question before
Yeah.
we do the trivia question for you.
Sure.
I know you mentioned before how much you love Switzerland. So do you think you'd ever actually realistically live there?
So I think maybe in the future, I really do want to live there. Me and my boyfriend have always like, we've even talked about like getting a house there, maybe like as a summer house or, you know, a travel house, just because he's very closely connected and he doesn't want to leave his grandparents there. You know, his grandparents are getting older and he feels bad that he can't be there. So, and his mom, you know, grew up there. So it'd be nice to have a house there, and I could technically get expedited citizenship if me and him were to get married and I live with him for 1 year, because he's a Swiss citizen, I could get Swiss citizenship.
Mm.
Well, then I hope you don't mind company.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You got two guests right here.
Yeah, already.
Oh my God. He'd probably just like leave the house. He'd be like, you can stay with them.
Well, that's the price you pay
Yeah.
getting a house there.
No, I would definitely get a house there. I mean, the houses are expensive. Like just like a basic house is like 700 grand. So
Wow.
yeah. So there's
Start
that.
saving.
New York
yeah.
prices.
Well, you
yeah.
have a job now, like you said.
Oh my God. I literally just started last week. Like,
Start saving.
oh my gosh.
All right. Who is ready for the trivia question?
I'm
I
so
feel like
ready.
I'm more nervous than I was before.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think
I
I've
mean,
become less confident in my answer throughout this whole thing.
it's such a simple question, but also it's like, I don't know. Like I had no idea what the answer was to this.
Okay.
So once again, the question is, what is the capital of Switzerland? All about
Oh my
today's
God.
episode.
Wait,
So if-
my chat isn't working. Wait.
You could text me if
Okay, I'm gonna text it to you because my chat
Yeah.
isn't working.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you where I'm at right now. I'm going to be straight with you because when
shoot it to me straight.
I'm going to shoot it straight. When we were looking up all the places that Allie was telling us about, I did come across the capital, but it's not what I was going to originally say. And I don't believe it in my head. That's why I'm feeling very conflicted right now, because I really thought that I was right. So I'm going to text you the answer that I still think is right, even though the map that I saw is telling me no.
So I didn't look it up because I'm a fair competitor.
I didn't look it up, Allie. I was looking up. I was looking up one of the places you told me about, but I'm going to guess my original guess. I'm going to be fair.
Good.
And maybe I'm still going to be right, because I do think this is the right answer. I still don't believe what I saw online. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So the capital of Switzerland. Allie, you wrote Zurich.
I did.
Julia, you also wrote Zurich.
I did.
We're
The
wrong.
correct answer is Bern.
Yeah.
Stop.
That's what I saw. And
Bern.
Yes, now I remember.
that's what I saw. I just
Okay.
didn't believe it. I was like, no, it has to be Zurich.
Honestly,
But-
if I didn't say Zurich, I was gonna say Geneva, so I would have been wrong both
Yeah.
times.
Well, we
So
stumped
it
the
says
expert.
here.
I'm definitely not the Switzerland expert. You should be talking to my boyfriend, but I know I know from 2 weeks of experience in that country.
Maybe we can bring him on one day for the real Switzerland episode.
Yeah, get the dirt on Switzerland.
Oh my gosh. So it says here that many people are surprised, like you two, when they hear that Little Bern is the Swiss capital. Surely industrial Zurich or international Geneva would be more logical, they say. But it's precisely to avoid a concentration of power that Bern was chosen as the federal city exactly 170 years ago. So they just wanted to avoid any conflict. Very neutral. Very neutral.
Extremely
Yes.
neutral of them.
Love that.
Yes, we love that for Switzerland.
Yes.
I'm gonna look up Bern because I don't like I've heard of it. but-
Bern.
Yes.
No, but that's definitely the vibe I got from Zurich, was like very industrial.
Mm.
okay. I mean, Bern looks okay.
It's cute.
It's cute. Yeah, I would go.
Good for them.
It's not on the top of my list, but I would go. Yeah. Cold there right now. I wouldn't go today.
What's the temperature?
38 degrees right now.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
like New York.
That's New York.
Oh,
So you wouldn't come to New York either.
I guess not. I mean, right now, let me see what it is here. It's 59 right now here.
Must be
No,
nice.
but funny, like literally, I would say 2 to 3 weeks after I left Switzerland, it snowed in Hockeybrick, which is where I just went hiking, and it was beautiful weather. So it shows how quickly they get their snow quickly, especially up in the mountains. So
Wow.
Makes sense.
And what temperature was it when you were there?
that's a good question.
Give or take.
I would say it was in the 70s. Some days it was in the 60s.
And it
that's nice
snowed the
weather.
next week? Wow.
Yeah, but there's a difference because I was, on kind of not on elevated land. I wasn't really in the mountains, but Hockeybrick is in the like it is the mountains. So
Okay, so it snowed like on the top of the mountain and you were on the bottom?
yeah, well, I was just like, in suburban, like kind of ground. It's not ground level because Switzerland is just a little bit elevated just due to the mountainous geography. But yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's probably their snow season about now.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like today it's snowing in Bern because it's 38, so that's a little bit above freezing, but you never know.
Yeah. So yeah, they hope maybe they're getting snow soon, and then it starts the snowboarding and skiing seasons.
Yeah, I actually heard that. I'm not sure if this is true, and I don't know if you know, but I heard that in Switzerland they have ski through McDonald's.
Stop.
Oh yeah, you did tell me that before.
Yeah, is that so? It doesn't sound like you've heard of this, Allie.
I've never heard of it, and I've never even seen a McDonald's in Switzerland. So
Really? Okay. I'm gonna look it up right now.
yeah,
Fact check
because that's
myself.
pretty cool.
Ski through McDonald's.
Sweden.
Sweden. Okay.
That's why she's
Yeah.
never heard of it. She's a
Yeah.
Swedish expert.
Ah. Wait, hold on. Sweden. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I thought it was Switzerland for
Ski.
some reason.
Don't mix up your
Interesting.
SW countries. Come on.
In my defense, someone told me that like in elementary school, and I remembered it all this time. So the fact has kind of morphed in my head a little bit.
Wow.
Okay, so that's in Sweden. So that makes me a little more interested in going to Sweden than Switzerland. But even after all this,
Wow. After I sit down with you for an hour and tell you everything, how good Switzerland is, you'd still rather go to Sweden.
yeah, I think so.
Gosh. For the McDonald's.
But real talk, culturally, Switzerland sounds amazing. And even
Yes.
not culturally, like geographically, just everything about it sounds beautiful. So I do think they could use a ski through McDonald's or two, but
Just to elevate the country, just that would make it, 100%.
that would make it worth my money.
God.
Oh, all right, Allie, any last words before we let you go?
Everyone always says that I talk to, everyone's like, oh, Switzerland's my dream trip, and it really is the dream trip. Like, I couldn't recommend going there more. It is, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that to me too, that Switzerland was their dream trip. And in my head, I was like, why? There's so many other cool places you can go. Because my dream trip personally is like Africa, and Egypt is like pretty much number one on my list at this point after my honeymoon, which I'm going on in 8 days, 7 days. I don't know.
Wow, that's soon.
Yeah,
That
actually
flies.
6 days, I
Wow.
think.
That's really soon.
Yeah. So I'm going to South Africa and Zimbabwe in I think 6 days. And that is my number one trip. But then my number one after that will be Egypt. So like that's my number one. So I never really understood why Switzerland was other people's number ones. Like it just didn't make sense to me. But I do get it now. It really sounds so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a place that I feel like if I didn't go there, my life would just not be the same, and my views on things would not be the same.
Yeah, I
Wow.
feel like it's a place you go to, like, especially like if you're struggling, and just to remind you of like how beautiful life is. I feel like that's
Oh, yeah.
definitely a trip that would really like heal you,
100%. Like I felt so good in Switzerland. I was just like, you feel so connected to nature. Like when I'm hiking here, like in New York, I'm just like, yeah, I feel connected to nature. But when you're in Switzerland, you really feel that like different connection, and you're like, wow, you feel a part, you feel so small. You're like, look at this look at these mountains around me. Like this is me. And like, it really makes you feel like, that get that sort of sense, like, what can I do to like preserve this environment? Because like, it would be such a shame, losing that environment.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm taking a climate change class right now, which by the way is the bane of my existence. But it's just this is really kind of connecting to it in my mind with the glaciers and just how beautiful it sounds, and just preserving that so it's around for our lifetime.
Yes, yeah.
In my class, I have learned that we probably only have 11 years left before everything kind of goes south, and it's irreversible. So now is the time to take those steps, so that way these beautiful glaciers in Switzerland and all these things that we want to see stays there, so we can save up and have time to go see them.
Oh, I have one last small tidbit of advice. Is hiking in Switzerland, or just hiking in general, even in New York, I always keep a little plastic bag in my hiking backpack, just in case you need to throw out garbage, because that is highly frowned upon to litter in, I think it should be frowned upon in the United States, but especially in Switzerland, is like, you do not see trash anywhere. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really nice that they take it so seriously there. They want to preserve the beauty of their land. I think Americans have just destroyed it to the point where there's not much beauty left in a lot of places. So, but which is really sad. But Switzerland sounds so beautiful, so I understand why they want to preserve that.
Yeah, they have a very good attitude about that.
Yeah, not to say that America's not beautiful. I mean, there's tons of beautiful places here, but a place like Switzerland, it sounds like something special.
Yes,
All right, so is that everything? Any last words? I know we already said that, but any more last words?
last words.
I think we can call it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Allie, for joining us and being our first guest on the podcast. We're so glad to finally have one. We've been talking about this for so long about recruiting someone. So
of course, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really fun learning about your trip finally, after not even hearing about it, just hearing that you went. Yeah, we just don't talk about that. But we do talk. That's the thing. It's
I know.
Odd.
I don't know how it's never come up. Like, just even you don't tell me, like, you went to like Jamaica, and I was just like, you give me a souvenir, I'm like, okay, cool. And we just don't talk about it.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it. Yeah. We
Like, I don't
never
know.
talk about our trips with each other. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, listen to the podcast, you'll find out about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. We
Yeah.
haven't done a Jamaica episode yet, but maybe Katie and I could do that one day because she went with
Maybe
me
very
too.
soon. It was all part of our cruise.
Yeah, we could do our
Yeah.
cruise episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hear about that vacation then. You don't
Yeah,
have to tell me.
Yeah, just tune in whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But if you want to know when that's coming out, I actually just launched the subscription on the website. So if you want to subscribe to our podcast now, you can. You just put in your name and your email address, and every time a new episode of the podcast is released, you'll get an email. So that's super, super exciting. I'm really glad that
Cool.
that's finally out and people could start really following our podcast. And you could also obviously subscribe on YouTube. That's always been there. But now you could subscribe through the website. So it goes right into your inbox when an episode is posted on Spotify, YouTube, usually the next day. So that's super cool. And I'm going to go on my usual rant right now. You can go to www.runwaysandbyways.com if you want to check out my blog and all the articles I write about the places I've been. And you can access all the podcasts there as well. We have travel planning services on the website. So we have travel recommendations, travel advice, and choose your destination. So in choose your destination, we'll choose a destination for you based on your priorities and your trip preferences. Travel recommendations, we'll give you recommendations if you're looking for food or places to go within a certain destination. And travel advice, if you have a specific question for us, you could just shoot us a message on there and we will respond and give you our advice for that particular question. Am I forgetting anything?
I think you
Yeah.
covered it.
I think, actually, no, I didn't. Follow us on Instagram and Pinterest. And it's all the same handle at Runways and Byways. And I think that's all. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us again, Allie. And thank you everyone for sticking around. I think this might have been our longest episode, but
Woo. But it was very good. It was very detailed.
yeah. Thank you, Allie. Because now I'm sure we all learned a lot about Switzerland and
Type A at work.
yes. And I promise, don't be afraid to be our guest on the podcast, anyone that's thinking of doing it, because I'm
Reach
not,
out, definitely.
yeah, I'm not this mean to everybody. It's just she's my sister.
Yeah,
So
like
I got to give her a hard time. But yes, definitely reach out if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast. Tell us your story. We're so interested in hearing about them and learning about all the places in the world that we can go, and even places that we've never even thought of going, because especially Switzerland, I never really cared that much, and now I think I do. So I think that would be great if you could just reach out to us and we can schedule you on our podcast. That would be really fun. And okay, so I think that's it. Thank you again, Allie. Thank you, Katie, for being here as usual. And we will see you next time on the next episode of the Runways and Byways Travel Podcast. Bye. Whether your plane is taking off from the runway
Or you're driving down a byway
we'll be your guides
through it all.